Hello everyone, welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to today's reading. So catching you up from yesterday, we saw you finding your own footing, reminders that you're on the right path, and understanding that you've set some important things in motion for yourself that you might not realize that you've set in motion for yourself. So big change coming your way, big change coming your person's way, but it resonates pretty differently for the two of you. And for you, it feels like you're likely to take it in stride. You end up keeping your mind open. You will do quite well. On your person's side, definitely we saw some additional struggles. And, I feel like we looked into that a little bit. We're going to look into what you need to know next, honestly, as we're going into today's reading. So it will be a general reading, as always, for this collective. It won't resonate with everyone. It shouldn't resonate with everyone. But if it does resonate with you, think about subscribing, hitting like, so that other people who are in similar situations can have some of the benefit, similar benefit to what you may have taken from this as well. So that's how we share it. Or you could literally share it. That's an option too. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the energy of today and the energy between you. We've had that full moon energy starting to kind of come out for you already. Feeling of something new coming, information coming. But remember, we got these differing opinions from your person as to whether they wanted to kind of let any of that information go out. So there's a strong need to control the energy, almost from an egoistic standpoint. Let me see what I dropped here. Nothing face up. There's definitely a need to keep some secrets or to keep some things secret, and yet it feels like the secrets are kind of spilling out a little bit, maybe outside of their control, and they're trying to figure out how to manage that. Some of it, they're not quite sure how bad it is. There's this they're not sure how bad the leak is, so they don't know exactly what's out there. There is a need to, they feel a need to protect themselves. That Nine of Wands is a protectiveness. It feels like a need to protect themselves from something that maybe isn't actually after them. So it's one of those defenses that is not truly necessary. And it comes out looking like a defense. It looks like to both of you, like a defense mechanism that isn't required. And yet we've got the Seven of Cups in the reverse. Again, that feeling of not quite knowing which way to go, not quite knowing what to do next. I don't get the sense, I feel like that's very much a shared energy, but I don't know that it bothers you all that much. I think you are decent at working in ambiguity and only getting better at it all the time. There's something here, and I feel like this is for both of you, where there's an opportunity that is arising for one or both of you that you are not going to take, but I feel like it's the right choice. This is a know thyself sort of situation, and it's a good choice not to go that direction. Not necessarily that it's a bad way to go, just that it's not the right time for it, I feel like, more than anything else. Let your heart guide you. There's a strong sense of heart needing to guide you and needing to guide you through fear and feeling like you're doing the wrong thing. Like this is feeling like you are doing the wrong thing. This is feeling like you don't have a decision or a choice in something. And yet so this is a perception, and it turns out you do have a choice, but it's not necessarily obvious. So what is obvious, and this is going to be to both of you as you're going through it, is that this feels awkward. It feels difficult. It feels like you have to be led by the heart, and that is truly what needs to happen here. But there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear that kind of wants to hold you at bay in this energy. This is a feeling very scared and just kind of jumping out there and doing what needs to be done. Now, not necessarily doing everything. We do see that there is something here that, from a timing perspective, one or both of you decides you're not going forward with something. So here we have the Knight of Cups. This feels very much like a communication, and it feels very much like a communication that you might not see coming. We've definitely seen that evidence of communication that you don't see coming. But what I get here is that, like, So usually they concern themselves around reaching out to you, or they are concerned about reaching out to you because they're afraid that they're going to be re-triggered. But in this case, it feels like they're reaching out to you almost because they're triggered. So heads up, this is a little bit different than maybe what we've seen in the past. We've seen a person reaching out to you who might maybe need to, they're not completely healed. They're still working on some things. This is like somebody reaching out to you almost in crisis. So be aware, some of you may be receiving kind of almost an in crisis sort of call. I don't get the sense this goes the other way. I don't feel like this is you reaching out to them. I feel like it's them reaching out to you and them feeling like, I'm just doing this. I'm just reaching out. I'm just doing it. I'm just going to try and push it and force it. There's a strong sense of trying to push something and force something, which is super interesting sort of energy, but not necessarily what I would have expected here, if I'm honest, because it's got a pleading nature to it and yet forcing. It's a pleading and yet forcing sort of energy. It's a very uncomfortable, a little bit awkward, and it feels like it kind of comes out of the blue. It's like an emergency call at 2 o'clock in the morning from somebody that you haven't heard from for a really long time. And then we've got this 9 of Wands coming out again. So we've got like a double 9 of Wands here. This is the same feeling that comes out with this 9 of Wands. It is defensiveness. It is unnecessary defensiveness, though. So this person is feeling like a piece of work when they get to you, basically. They are feeling raw. They're feeling, and I understand not everyone's going to reach out, but it's important to note that for the ones that do, when they get there, they're feeling raw. They're feeling a little bit like they're at the end of their rope, and crisis may actually be the right word to describe what's happening emotionally. So be prepared for that. You often get the advice to be gentle if this person should happen to come your direction. I'm feeling it again, that this is going to be your best bet is to like kind of be prepared for them to be more sensitive than usual. I would say that. That's definitely part of what wants to come out with this. So interesting. All right. We're going to go ahead. That's today's energy. So it has that easily bruised ego, easily bruised emotions, maybe on both parts, definitely feeling it on your person's part. And, you know, it's interesting as we look at like what was happening yesterday, your person was dealing with a situation where they have been ready to get themselves right up to the edge of communication, you know, of vulnerability in communication, whatever form that takes for you. But then they fail. And then they hide from themselves. They hide from you. And here we see like this is just kind of thrusting themselves your direction to have this communication. But again, almost being in crisis mode. So you may see the vulnerability in communication a little bit more than what we might have been led to expect looking at yesterday's reading, but I don't know. It feels like it's pretty intense when it happens. So we're going to go ahead and look into that and understand what you need to know about this energy coming your way, because it feels like a great intensity coming from them. And it might be it might be interesting to understand kind of where that originates, you know. There's a lot of them hiding and still watching. There's definitely a lot of that hiding and still watching kind of energy. Interesting that the cards seem like it's not that they don't want to talk. It's like they want to make sure exactly the right ones come out. I'm kind of getting that. So we've got a King of Swords in the reverse. Been seeing a little bit of that one lately. So King of Swords in the reverse, not a well thought out effort. Again, we have somebody who is likely heading your direction, feeling like they're in a little bit of crisis, may not stick around for very long here with the Knight of Wands. That's definitely that in and out sort of energy, but it's more the energy of them being capable of getting in and out more than them definitely doing it. So you may not have everyone disappearing on you fairly immediately, but the potential is there. And with the Six of Wands in the reverse here, again, that strong sense of very much still being in the throes of the battle that they're fighting. There's a strong sense of them still being in the throes of the battle that they're fighting. And this is a tough place. I get that this is a tough place, but they're kind of, with this Death card in the reverse, I feel a little bit like they're being their own worst enemy. I refuse to be okay with change almost going on. Not just having a hard time making a change, but actually having a hard time being okay with the concept of change. And yet being in a position to make a pretty important decision that requires them to be able to think ahead. You've got someone who is actively not doing much as far as thinking ahead, but is willing to go out and try some new things, not willing to try everything. And the things they are willing to try, we're seeing that they're doing so with a fair amount of resistance, defensiveness. So the success rates are not likely to be quite as high. This Knight of Swords says they're willing to give it a try, but it's still got a little bit of that spying energy with it. With the Ten of Wands, I see that something that they're going to try, something that your person is going to try, is going to fall on its face a little bit. I feel like this may be a little bit why they're reaching out to you. Like they're feeling like they're at wit's end. I feel like there is this sense of them really wanting to have a communication, they want the warmth that they remember from you. So this is a bit of a panic call, the way that it comes across here in the energy. And I don't want to panic you, but recognize this person could be, you know, maybe they didn't sleep much the night before by the time they reach out to you. It could be a pretty difficult situation for them. This is definitely something where they don't feel like the energy is slowing down for them very much. So they feel like it's a little bit out of control. Curious to understand what's going on with them and what feels like it's changing, because it seems like they're afraid to make a change. They're resisting a transformation. There's a little bit of panic in this energy and a tendency to kind of want to run away and not communicate. Here we have the energy of a botched communication or a botched apology, where the awkwardness has set in, and maybe you're sitting there saying, listen, I get it. I get that things are a little bit tough right now, and they're still over there just hurting so bad over something that they can't think straight enough to get it right, and to recognize that you're not gonna judge them for the way they're coming across. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared for them to maybe not be the way we've seen them coming across. So the way we've seen them coming across in a lot of these situations, they've been fairly charismatic. It's been, oh gosh, better watch out. This one's real charismatic and it's coming your way. And, you know, this is not that. This is much more of a panicked, sort of chaotic energy coming your direction, where they're looking for comfort and they're looking for like a repeat of something that's happened in the past. So we've seen a lot of them wanting to come your direction and wanting to kind of bring back an energy from the past. We also see that they don't exactly know what to do when they get closer to you, and we still see that. This is where some of that awkwardness looks like it shows up, but there's an energy of them kind of like being so relieved once they get you on the phone. It feels like it's on the phone. It feels like they text you and say, like, are you available for a phone call? You know, it becomes more intimate almost immediately in that sense. And then I feel like there is some sense of vulnerability, but they may be so concerned about things, so just steeped in negativity, steeped in something. They're certain that something's not going to go well. Again, that concept of keeping their hopes very low. There's a lot of a need for healing that shows up for you here. And I feel like as you're seeing this situation, you're going to be feeling a lot of, man, this is the healing that Silver was talking about. There's a lot that's needed here. As they're working through it, so there's something good about this. If they do reach out to you, just know there is something in here that essentially they learned something from this. they gather something from this, or it gives them, I feel like we got to get one more card here. It gives them the opportunity that they need to think through something, or to see something, or to see another side or another perspective. There's something that happens in this interaction with you, or that you make space for them, that changes things. Okay, it gives them another perspective on their situation with their third party. Okay, so we've got the Three of Cups talking about the third party, and we've got the Three of Wands. There's two meanings to the Three of Cups, but this is we'll go with the first one because it goes with this Three of Wands. The Three of Cups talking about the third party. The Three of Wands talking about having set something into motion that essentially changes the way the interaction is between them and this third party going forward. There's something here in all of this emotional chaos that your person is bringing that is very much relevant to that. But there's also, again, this sense of bringing a fantasy to life. That's the other thing that kind of glints off of this Three of Cups here. It's the sense of bringing a fantasy to life where they say, could we go out for a drink or a meal? And you say yes. You know, and maybe it's that simple, and beyond that, they don't have a plan. I still see that with the Ten of Cups in reverse, that concept of they don't really have a plan once they get to a certain place, but they're working really hard to get to that certain place. That's kind of what we see here. But there is this tendency, again, it's not well thought out. They come in, they may leave very quickly. We definitely see that. But there's a sense of them wanting to they want to stand by your fire. They want a sense of your warmth for a little bit, and they want it to remind them. They're specifically looking for kind of a rehash of something that they felt with you some time ago, something that they've been nostalgic about. But again, that same thing that pops up as nostalgia, but not wanting to make the same mistakes that they've made in the past. And somewhere in here, they start to realize that maybe they're getting too vulnerable. They've said too much. They've divulged too much. It starts to get awkward. They don't know what to say next. At that point, let's take a look at where your focus should be, okay? Because I think where we're going to go in the extended is like what... I don't know how much advice we want to get for you in that. I think let's wait till we get to the extended and see what's coming out. But I want to get a feel for like what is happening with your person. What is happening? Like yesterday we saw that they were very sensitive, and they kind of were curling into a ball. And we went into the extended to see kind of what is causing that. And we saw what was causing it. We saw what would maybe bring them out of that, because we also saw this is a cycle. What you're seeing here is a little different from what you may have seen in other parts of this cycle. So already you'll start to see them departing from that same cycle, but they're incredibly uncomfortable with it. So I'd like to see what's causing that change and why all of a sudden this sense of panic where we haven't really had that before. It's been for sure a sense of intensity, but this is much more high-pitched kind of panic to me than that. So let's take a look at what the focus should be for you. That's where I always like to go over here before we get into kind of what's driving this panic for them. So we'll look at what the focus is for you given the rest of what is on this table. And you just never know what will come out here. So we may actually get a little bit of advice in here as well, especially when you figure out where your area of focus needs to be. Sometimes that translates very directly into advice relative to what else we have. So Wheel of Fortune, you've got change coming, and we want this Ace of Swords, and we want this sure-footed Nine of... Okay, that's it. That was it. That was quick. Okay, so we have the Wheel of Fortune talking about a significant amount of change that you are undergoing or are about to be undergoing. I feel like you're setting up for this. It's like you're running down the path toward this change. Even though you may be concerned about it, maybe a little bit scared of it, I don't see you exactly pushing back and doing a ton of resistance against it. I do see, though, with this Ace of Swords that there is there's a truth. Okay, so I think it was yesterday's reading where there was this need to kind of move headlong into what could be kind of an uncomfortable truth. And I feel like there's still a need to be doing this, but I feel like you have the definite ability to make that happen. I feel like you have the definite ability to make a good movement toward that truth. So let's see where the focus needs to be. It doesn't look like it's easy or super comfortable, but I do feel like the discomfort is short-lived for you. You've got some tower action coming where that talks about significant change, but we haven't seen that as being super negative, or, I mean, even something that you would construe as negative. There is something that you're still very much working through. So with this Hanged Man, it's the energy of a new perspective that you're still working to garner, still working to get this new perspective. And with the Queen of Pentacles, it is that same old problem. There is something where you're maybe not feeling quite as strong as you'd like to feel, maybe not feeling quite as confident as you'd like to feel. And you're encouraged to kind of dig down into that. In this, I called this a sure-footed Nine of Swords, and that is really what it feels like to me. So we've got some Nine of Swords here as well. It's feeling, this is that when you're having an off moment. Most of your moments will be on moments, but you're still going to have something that, honestly, what bothers you the most about this is that it's an off moment, is that it keeps you awake when you thought that you were in a place where nothing should be keeping you awake anymore. It's that sort of thing. So once you work past the, yes, there may still be some off moments, I think many of them will be even shorter. This does not feel dangerous to me. It doesn't feel like a slippery slope or anything. But it does feel like you're going to run into a few situations here in the near future where you say, wow, I really thought I was more confident about myself than I am, but I feel like you're going to be fine with it. I also feel like you're going to have that ability to reach in. So you need to go into, turns out you've been getting this advice to go deeper into your meditation, deeper into your prayers, and not saying that you haven't been doing that, but saying that you need to potentially go a little bit deeper, or that you would benefit from doing so. That is going to be part of the answer to that more sure-footed sense of lack of anxiety and being able to get out of those, I call it that age-old problem, but it's basically the places where you feel doubt. You're going to iron out that doubt fairly quickly and be very pleased with yourself. I think that with the Four of Cups here, and also with the Devil, yeah, that's as far as we go. The Four of Cups and the Devil really kind of talk a lot about how you will be pleasantly surprised in this energy with how you are, how things are playing out with you, and how you are coming across, how you are reflecting in larger groups, maybe at work, maybe in social situations. It's a lot of pleasant surprise, and in this case, a lot of things that may have potentially exerted control over you in the past no longer do. So it doesn't feel like you have gotten somebody to release their grasp so much as you have transcended something. Something no longer matters. It's like the person who no longer needs a job because they're independently wealthy. And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but it's an example of having transcended the need for something and therefore having some very different motivations, or lack of motivations in that case. With the Seven of Swords, this is really where I think it comes from. This is the heart of understanding yourself, trusting yourself, really. With the Seven of Swords, it's a matter of self-trust. So this is a card of not deceiving yourself. Similar to that feeling that I get with the Ace of Swords up there and the truth. Being willing to just face that truth within yourself. There's something that you are now a lot more balanced about, a lot more ready for. And so basically what this is getting at is this is the balance that makes you move very quickly through these experiences where you maybe don't feel like you have it all together, or you feel like maybe you do still have some work to do. And yes, you may still have some work to do, but that doesn't end up being a bad thing. Let me see if this one fell face up. It did not. We have one that fell face down, and then we have the Temperance card. So the Temperance card is talking about balance. You have balance within your grasp at this time. So what that is, I guess what that feels like for me is it's going to be momentary feelings of balance that start to grow into bigger ones once you start to get a feel for what this type of balance feels like. It's a positive thing, but it feels like baby steps in a very big way in a good direction. Let's see here. Got some more fell face down all over the place. And then we've got this one face down. We have the Two of Pentacles and we have the Star. So there's something that's kind of getting in the way of you moving the direction that you want to go quickly. But I feel like that is not necessarily a bad thing. So it's going to be a matter of moving more quickly would be a threat to your balance and to that temperance that you're trying to build right now. So this is about kind of, it's like you're carrying a bowl of water that's filled pretty close to the rim and you want to make sure that you get it right and you don't splash it. That's the thing, you know, the Star card talks about the slowing down that you would have to do to get across the room without that. And the Two of Pentacles talks about here's the balance that you're able to maintain because you're able to take it a little bit more slowly. And that truth enables you to do that, but it is also the thing that may raise up the fear a little bit and cause you to feel a little bit unguarded, feel a little bit like you need to be guarded, you know, and then you come back and say, hold on, I realize I'm okay. I trust myself. So you have some real foundational stability growing in you over here, which is fantastic because at a time like this where there's a lot of a need for that stability, I feel like that's really going to come into play here. So when you behave in a gentle way toward this chaotic and kind of panicky behavior, really more positive things can happen. So this is like what we were hearing last month where you would try to address those things happening during a conversation that create misunderstandings as they're happening. And this is the energy that would help you to be able to do that. So in case that's a conversation that's kind of still happening, coming your direction, then this could potentially be something that's useful or helpful for you in this energy. So we're going to go into the extended now, look a little bit more into what is driving that, again, that really just chaotic and scared sort of panicky energy that we see happening here. It's like they come to you almost in crisis. So let's see what the crisis is or what that is all about. That, if you'd like to go with me there, the link is down below in the description for the video. I'll either see you there or I will be happy to see you again in tomorrow's reading.